Thank you. First of all, I do want to thank the SIU Alumni Association for this honor. You know, as I was sitting here this evening, at one point I looked at Marcia and I said, what am I doing here? You know, all of these distinguished people, and I do want to congratulate all of you tonight also. A special congratulations to Dr. Ed Hightower, because actually he is my boss also as a member of the Board of Trustees of Lewis and Clark Community College. However, one thing I have to just say a little bit, of course, a few things. An honor such as this can only be shared, and tonight I'm so fortunate to share it with so many individuals who are here, and some, unfortunately, who are not here. I think often it takes time to realize the impact your education has had on you, and I believe I have come full circle with SIUE. I remember the day I received my letter of acceptance in the School of Nursing here. I was so excited to become a member of the School of Nursing. It was amazing because there was so much competition, and I really didn't think I'd get in. I didn't start here at SIU. I started at the University of Colorado. Some people say, why would you leave the University of Colorado? However, it was the best decision I ever made coming here. And I have to thank my sister, who is a nurse, and she was a nurse at St. John's Hospital in St. Louis, now Mercy Hospital in the ER. And I was struggling a little bit about what I wanted to do. And I really enjoyed helping people. I had done some volunteer work at Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. And she said, you know, Donna, I have SIU students here all the time in the ER. She said, Dr. Ruth Gresley is amazing with these students. You should check SIU. And so I have my sister, in a way, to thank for me coming to SIUE. And it was a decision I will never forget or am not regretful. My journey continued as a staff nurse at St. Louis Children's Hospital, and then I decided to return to school to get my master's. At that point in time, I met Dr. Mary Ann Boyd, who is here this evening, and she was a faculty member in the graduate program, and she was a wonderful faculty member, and I had numerous classes with her. I remember her always talking about how nurses could be leaders and change the world, and I kind of sat there thinking, really? But now I realize how much an impact a nurse can have on patients' lives, on so many things in this country. I had just written my first draft of my thesis, and I will spare you somewhat of the details, but I had a committee member that wasn't from the School of Nursing, and when I got it back, it was all red, and I was like, ooh, this is not good. So I was a little upset, and so I talked to the chair of my committee, and to make a long story short, Dr. Boyd became a member of my committee. And so I really acknowledge her this evening because I'm not sure what would have happened to my master's degree if it wasn't for Mary Ann Boyd. So I really do have to acknowledge her. So as my journey continued, I completed my master's and I ventured into my faculty career. And the rest is somewhat history because I've actually been at Lewis and Clark for 30 years. However, when I started at Lewis and Clark, I was able to teach with an absolutely wonderful individual who's also here this evening, Karen Harder. She was my partner and she was my confidant, and you've taught me so much. I have many colleagues here tonight from Lewis and Clark, and all of them are here for a special reason, because you've all impacted my life. You may not realize it, but you have. And so I'm very pleased that they're here. I also have to think about some very special mentors. One of them is an SIU alumni, and she was also an outstanding alumni at SIU. And her name is Jane Brucker. And someone described Jane one time and said, I'm thinking about my mentoring relationship with Jane Brucker. I have a mental picture of Jane opening a door for me. At times, it felt as if she had to push me through the door. But eventually, I journeyed to a different place, and I shall never be the same again. And that's exactly what Jane did for me. She's not with us because she's mentoring from above and truly is one of the reasons I'm here tonight. Besides Jane, I have had two other mentors that I believe have allowed me to grow professionally in so many ways. Lewis and Clark President Dale Chapman and Dr. Linda Chapman, the Vice President for Academic Affairs, who are my bosses, although they really don't want me to say that. However, I have to acknowledge them because anytime you have an idea, they listen to you and they say, go for it. Sometimes it might be a little bit of a crazy idea, but they still encourage you to go for it, and they've allowed me. It is often said that the highest compliment is to be recognized by your peers, and I cannot express my appreciation enough to two of my peers who nominated me for this award, who are alumni of SIU, Dr. Catherine Miller and Dr. Cynthia Maskey, who nominated me for this award and have encouraged me every step of the way. And finally, the Dean of the School of Nursing. She is somewhat my cohort in crime, as you can tell. We have shared so many things since she came here, both professionally and personally. And so you see, SIUE has brought me full circle and has had a huge impact on my life. Tonight, I'm accepting this honor, though, on the behalf of my mother, who only made it through the 8th grade because that's the opportunity she had. She really wanted to be a nurse, but she didn't have the chance. My father, who made it through high school and always said, Donna, you can do anything you want to, so go for it. So I am accepting this award on their behalf, and as well as my daughter, Kara, who's not able to be here tonight. She's always said, Mom, you can do it. Just go for it. I know you can do it. So I thank all of you tonight. It is truly an honor for me to be in this very, very distinguished group of people. Thank you very much.